Alright guys, Fuller coming to you with another video. I hope all is well with y'all. So a lot of people were asking, yo, Fuller, what do you think of like what happened at the press conference and stuff like that with Canelo and Plant and things like that. You know, I kind of want to talk about that, but I kind of want to like talk about something else and then segue into that, you know, into that whole thing. What I'm gonna say is that, you know, I realized something. I'm looking at a pattern and I'm like, yo, what is really going on with this boxing, man? You know, it seems like, and this could be me. This could just be me, like being paranoid or being like looking too deep into it. But it just seems like there's like actually like a secret campaign out like to keep certain fighters from being great. Like it just seems like there's some kind of like unknown force that is trying to keep certain fighters from being great. You know, like it's almost like these fighters are like kind of like, I want to say like I guess you can say that they're not allowed to play. You know, you look at, for example, I know this is a corny example to use, but you look at the show Dragon Ball Z. There were different classes of Saiyans, you know, and the elite Saiyans were like, just like, for example, the Gokus, the Vegetas, you know, those ones, the Gohans, the, you know, the Trunks and stuff like that. Those were the elite Saiyans, you know. They were kind of like in a league of their own, right? Whereas you had like the class lower than them in Nappa and Raditz, which coincidentally Vegeta and Nappa actually called Raditz a chicken weakling. You know, that's what they called him, because they were like, yo, he's not even hanging with us. You know, that's like our, that he's basically, they were saying like, that's like my, they were just basically saying he used to carry my gear to the game. You know, that's what basically they were saying. And then you have below the Saiyans, which you have like the Earth Fighters, like you had Yamcha, you had Tien, you had, or you had, actually, let me scratch that, you had the Nameks, you know, you had the Namekians, you had Piccolo, you had like those type of people, you know what I mean? You had those guys. Then you had the Earth Fighters, you know, you had the Yamchas, you had the Chaosus, you had the you know, you had those type of guys. And, you know, not surprisingly, the first ones to die in all the battles were usually the Earth Fighters. You look at, you know, all the fights, you know, Yamcha usually was the first to go. Then you look at Tien, you know, he used to go pretty easy. Chaosu, he used to go pretty easy. You look at all those guys, Krillin, you know, they used to go easy. You know, they used to like die easily. So I compared this to boxing because you look at these fighters, for example, like, and they love to fight like Saiyans. They want to stay active. They want to fight the best to show that they're the best. But it seems like there's this unknown force in boxing trying to keep them from doing that. So, for example, you know, Shakur Stevenson, you know, alhamdulillah, he's finally getting his chance to show that he's one of the best guys by having a title shot against Jamel Herring. Now, granted, if he's successful in that title shot and he beats him convincingly, then we already know that Oscar Valdez is not going to fight him. Maybe, Oscar Valdez may move to 135, but I doubt it. But we already know that, that fight ain't happening. Although Bob Arum said that's a big pay-per-view fight, we already know that, I'm sorry to say it, but, although Bob Arum may say that it's a big pay-per-view fight, the WBC may say, no, we're not going to let that happen. Then you have, let's go to the welterweights. You got Jerron Boots Ennis, he has like 20 something fights in. He has a notable opponent in Sergey Lipinets, who stopped Lamont Peterson, by the way. But that still wasn't good enough. It still wasn't good enough. But Jerron Ennis has expressed the desire to become great. He's expressed the desire to, level up. He's expressed the desire to fight the champions. But for some reason, it's as if the boxing world does not want to see that. I think what they want to see, like, more than anything, because, that's what it seems like it's hitting for, is they want to see Virgil Ortiz. And the WBC especially wants to see Virgil Ortiz actually take that spot, And so, let's face it, Virgil Ortiz is quite limited. It's one thing to hit hard, but it's one thing to hit fast and hard, and where people can't see where you're hitting from, which is what Jerron Ennis does. You know what I mean? And which Virgil Ortiz is not too good at doing. As a matter of fact, you can see Virgil Ortiz hit from a mile away. That's just what it is. But we move to that middleweight division. And then you have Demetrius Andrade. From what I hear from his strength and conditioning coach, shout outs to Sharif, good brother, a very good brother, actually like a brother, basically. Demetrius Andrade is fighting Jason Quigley next. However, the zone tried to get Gennady Golovkin to fight Demetrius Andrade. And what did Gennady Golovkin do? I think he had a fit about it. And now he's fighting Murata in December. And in reality, I think Demetrius Andrade should have got the Murata fight, but, that's not happening. And that just goes to show you that, that Gennady Golovkin got to have his cake and eat it too, because he's going to have a come forward opponent who's just going to do nothing but come forward, apply pressure, and with that pressure, unfortunately, we already know the ending unless Murata can pull something miraculous and hit him with something that will change the tide of the whole division. So this is where we're at with this boxing. And I think that fight is happening on December 28th. So, they talk about, he's not fighting anybody. They always use that. They use that for Jerron Ennis, and they use that for, Demetrius Andrade. However, I did forget someone at 135, Devin Hayden. So, with Devin Haney, I don't know. Maybe he should just drop the WBC belt. That may be his best bet to do, for the simple fact that at this point, he's just basically babysitting that belt. For the simple fact that when your mandatories don't want to fight you, when the WBC doesn't even order your mandatories to fight you. When the WBC orders your mandatories to fight each other for the quote-unquote interim title, when they already fought a title eliminator, Jojo Diaz, Fortuna, Ryan Garcia, Luke Campbell, then it makes really no sense at this point. So with Devin Haney, you have Devin Haney, he's just like doing his thing. You see him working out, you see him training, you see him staying in shape, staying ready for that fight. But it seems like people in his division are running in all sorts of all different directions. It seems like Teofimo, I think that this may be his last fight at 135, because he talking about he want to fight Josh Taylor at 140. You have Ryan Garcia with the Jojo Diaz. We talked about that. And then Ryan Garcia, who talks too much and who really needs to just take the shut the F up pill, talking about that he if he saw Devin Haney in person, he would slap him. And he's had plenty of opportunity to slap Devin Haney. Because he's seen him in person so many times. But, he never has that energy. He just talks. That's all he does is just talk. And it gets annoying. It gets annoying. I don't even look at Ryan Garcia as a boxer, bro. I look at him as just an Instagram celebrity. I don't look who just boxes occasionally. That's who I look at Ryan Garcia as. So then we're gonna go to that 168, and I guess you can call it. Call these fighters no-fly zone fighters. I guess that's an appropriate word to use for them. No-fly zone fighters. So you go to that 168, and there's a new kid on the block who everybody knows, I think, very highly of. Everybody knows that I really rate his skill set. Everybody knows that I think this guy is the goods. Everybody knows I think this guy would dominate the division. This guy has said he is the best at 168. I second that motion. You have Osvari David Morrell Jr., who, as it turns out, his mandatory John Ryder does not want to fight him. Now, granted, his promoter said, okay, yeah, we're ready to fight John Ryder. We got to train for that fight. We got to get past John Ryder, and then we can see what happens. However, it turns out that John Ryder does not want to fight David Morrell. And he is the mandatory to fight David Morrell. So, with that being said, David Morrell took it a step further, and he said, well, if I can't get him, let me get Benavidez. Benavidez hasn't mentioned David Morrell's name. And I don't think he's gonna mention David Morrell's name. David Morrell has went as far as to say that I know that, he said I'm the best, but I know I need to prove that I'm the best. David Morrell said that. These were his words. These were his very words, that he's the best, but however, he needs to prove that he's the best, So with that being said, it just goes to show you that, there's certain fighters who are hungry. There's certain fighters who just want to show their skill sets. However, it seems like the boxing world is not allowing them to show their skill sets by doing certain things like making mandatories fight each other, when chances are the winner of those fights are not going to fight the champion. You know what I mean? I believe something needs to be done in order to like stop this madness, but I don't think anything is going to be done. You know what I mean? You know, in boxing, you used to think you would think that, okay, if boxing was, you know, pure, if boxing was a pure sport, if professional prize fighting was a pure sport, right? You would think that all people would look at would be skill sets, right? And how skillful and how good those people are. But instead, the average fan looks at their nationality. The average fan looks at how many Instagram followers they have. The average fan looks at what kind of food they like. The average fan looks at you know, what the girlfriend looks like. The average fan looks at defends them when they do wrong. The average fan does all types of things like that. The average fan moves the goalposts back for these fighters. So, continuing on to that 168, you know, you have Caleb Plant and you have Canelo, who are fighting for the undisputed crown, right? It must be said, though, you know, it must be said that if you're a throwback fighter, chances are you're going to clean out one division before moving to a next division. You know, you're going to say, okay, let me clean out 147 first, then I'll move to 154. After I clean out 154, let me clean out 160. After I clean out 160, I'm going to move up to 168, depending on how much weight you want to, like, you know, put on, basically. But this is not the case anymore for a lot of these fighters. Again, you know, I think with Canelo, it was a matter of convenience in grabbing belts. You know, oh, this guy has a belt. Okay, not a tough touch. This guy has a belt. Oh, not a tough touch. This guy has a belt. Not a tough touch. Demetrius Andre has a belt. Oh shit. No way. And granted, I'm not a Charlo fan by any means. Charlo's my mandatory. Oh shit. No way. David Benavidez has a belt, and I want the belt. Oh shit. No way. I don't fight Mexicans. So we're here now, though. Oh, Caleb Plant has a belt. Easy call. I'll fight him. So it seems like the boxing world, unfortunately, is ushering along these things. You know, you have like, and unfortunately, it's bad for boxing. It really is bad for the sport. You know, it's bad for the sport, and it's also kind of bad for revenue, because the thing is, because of what DAZN is doing, and because DAZN is catering to these fighters, Mikey Garcia came out and said the reason why the Regis Prograis fight didn't happen is because DAZN didn't have the money to finance that fight, and that would have been a hell of a fight. So if they keep on doing these things, and if they keep on letting these fighters do what they're doing like this, then that shit is gonna backfire, and they're gonna just keep on losing revenue. Because some fans, including myself, are gonna be like, yo man, we ain't paying for this shit. We're not. I unsubscribed to DAZN. You know, I used to have a DAZN subscription, but I said, man, I'm not paying anymore. Why? Why would I pay for DAZN? And it's like there's barely any quality fights. Like, so that's why I didn't even That's why I like canceled it. So it seems like these no-fly zone fighters, I don't know what they can do. I mean, maybe they need to just boycott. Like, maybe they just need to, I don't know, man. Because you have these fighters, and they're not getting their shots. We're only hoping that these fights get made, and they're not going to get made. Okay? And that's the sad thing about this whole situation we're in. Yeah, the press conference was cool. There was drama at it. Caleb Plant came with his fly words and stuff like that. I would also want to add something else to that. Canelo with his double standard ass. And I'm just going to say that nigga's still on juice because his head is still big as a damn football helmet. So, anyway, he was calling Caleb Plant MFer as well. And then he don't talk about my mom. Whereas he called Demetrius Andrade the MFer as well when Demetrius Andrade was trying to run the fade with him. Okay, he said, "You MFer." That's how Canelo said it. And then, "Get the F out of here." Yeah, I'll make fun of his bootleg English. I don't care. I once didn't know how to speak English, but I learned that crap. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's how he talks. "You MFer." And then Canelo was like, "I'll F all of you." He said that. So it's like, okay, you're mad that this dude is dropping F-bombs. And then you're dropping F-bombs. It's like, make it make sense, bro. "Don't talk about my mother." It's like, nigga, shut up. I wouldn't mention his mom, but if I were there, I would give him all kinds of insults. I would call him Carrot Top, call him Big Head, would call him Juice, Mr. Juice Man, Jamba Juice. Would call him Hellboy. Anybody seen that movie Hellboy? You remember that movie? We'll call him all tight. I would talk so much shit. I would talk shit to Ryan Garcia too. Be like, man, I would really be on some shit. I will pull up to Ryan Garcia. I'm like, yeah, so you think ducking is cool, huh? And then I would call him the B word. Be like, you little B. I would not care. They wouldn't. It's a good thing I didn't go there. It was in Beverly Hills too. I could have made Beverly Hills. It's basically 15 minutes away from me. I could have made the drive, but I think it was a private setting. So, I think I needed credentials to get in there anyway. Yeah, I wasn't able to get credentials on time to get into it. But everybody knows that I would have been causing havoc in a calm way. I would have called them out on all their BS, and they wouldn't have liked that. And the sad thing is that Canelo has just a bunch of yes men around him too. Eddie Reynoso being one of them. And I'm gonna end this video on this note. You have to understand something. I have a theory that some of these trainers in these governing bodies work together. I know that Eddie Reynoso is not going to match his fighters against people they think that he thinks may lose. So, for example, he's not going to match a fighter against someone that, for example, he's not going to match Ryan Garcia against Gervonta. He's going to be like, oh, shoot, nah, hell no. He's not going to match a Oscar Valdez against a Shakur. Oh, hell no. He's not going to match, for example, the only reason why he's matching Frank Sanchez against F.A. Jogba is for the simple fact that, unfortunately, I wish Frank Sanchez would leave. I wish Frank Sanchez would go to Ismael Salas as a trainer. Is because Frank Sanchez is a Cuban, bro. And the crazy thing is, Eddie Reynoso is not coaching him to his strengths of that Cuban boxing school of footwork, angles, educated jab, and things like that. I mean, no disrespect to Frank Sanchez. I ride hard with my Cubans, but he's looked sloppy in his last fights. And that's just me being real. But yeah, man, so I really think that, there may be something behind these fighters not getting these fights, man. And I really don't know what it is. I really don't know what it is, bro. I'm trying to think of what it is. What could it be? What could it possibly be? Because as it stands right now, a couple of fighters are in the no-fly zone fighter membership. The fighters that are in there, when you look at, the 130s, Shakur Stevenson, he's in there. When you look at the 135s, there's actually two 135s that are in the no-fly zone fighter memberships. You have Devin Hayden, and you also have a guy from Dominican Republic named Michel Rivera, who has physical favoritism to Muhammad Ali. Then you have we move to the 147, and you have Jaron Ennis. He's a no-fly zone fighter member. And then you have the 154. Even with him getting knocked out, but him bouncing back and pulling together a stream of wins, you have Erickson Lubin. Move to 160, you have Demetrius Andrade. Move to 168, you have David Morrell. And I don't know what they're going to need to do, bro, to get these fights, because I don't think being vocal is going to be enough. And at this point, I don't think talking mess is going to be enough either. But anyhow, man, let me know what y'all think about this. Fuller signing out. Njadama.